Hey, I'm whistling. Would you like to whistle too? Whistle FM is looking for a few good volunteers. Come and join our team and learn a new skill. We're looking for producers, show hosts, and even people to help out around the station. Learn something new and meet new people. Email us at admin@whistleradio.com or drop by the station behind Stillville Fine Furniture. We hope to see you soon.
And we're back on Fresh Waves. Hour number 2, and we are joined by Cory Smith of Urban Rustic Decor. Good morning, Cory.
Good morning. I'm very fine, thank you.
That's great. Now, we were talking earlier about rustic decor, country decor. Now we're going to talk about your store. How did you end up having a store at Musselman's Lake?
Well, excuse me, I sold this stuff online for a while, but people were asking if I have a store. They want to come see everything and touch and feel and just see what else I have. And I knew friends down the road from there, and I'd passed by the store for years.
Yeah.
But it was always Charlinda's with the chocolate. Mm-hmm. And with a culinary background, I thought, oh, a nice little cafe, little, small things. But also with the decor stuff. So just this past December, I was going to get my Christmas tree from my friend's farm, and I noticed there was a for rent sign on the door. I'm like, oh my God, finally it's available. So I literally hit the brakes, turned around, called the number, and then the landlord just lives up the street. So she came over, I discussed what I wanted to do, and she's like, perfect, that's exactly what I wanted. They didn't want restaurants to go in there because there's tenants upstairs and that, but she's like, I like it. This is what this area needs, because back in the 50s, it was a bowling alley back in...
was it?
1953 it opened.
A bowling alley on the lake. What a bizarre concept. I would never have put those two together.
It was it had 3 lanes, 5-pin bowling. We have some pictures in the store there.
Oh, isn't that something?
I love seeing the history of the area.
Yes.
When I do.
I would never in a million years have imagined that a bowling alley was in that space.
Yeah. There's actually some old pins and bowling balls in the back of the store.
Or you're going to have to resurrect those and put them somewhere as a piece of rustic decor that's not for sale.
No. No.
Wow. So have you been in the retail biz for a while or what?
Well, my main career path started years and years ago. It was always culinary. And
the man likes to cook.
Yes. And I did some catering for film and television, and but I was always away from home. When I did some union stuff, I was gone at 4 a.m, and I'd be sleeping when I'm at home, that kind of thing. So I was home, but I was sleeping. So it was hurting the family life. So because we did this online, I thought, well, maybe we, the opportunity where we could, have a small little store. Like we went to the craft fairs and the events, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was great. But, until our next event, we would sell online. But again, people would ask, oh, do you have a store? Do you have a store? I want to come see everything, touch and feel and see what else you have. And so we're in the back of our mind, we're always saying, okay, well, maybe we should, look into getting a little retail spot. And like I mentioned before, the opportunity came up, so we just went with it. So
that's great. So you have a culinary background. Yeah. Have you ever thought of doing something with like preserves and jams? I know a lot of those things are really at the craft shows now. You see that kind of stuff everywhere. Is it something that you would think of doing in the future for the space that you're in now?
Yeah. It's something we look into. A lot of the issues in a retail is dealing with the health department. And coming from a culinary background, I've dealt with them a lot. So, as long as, they're packaged properly and it doesn't need to be, if it needs to be refrigerated, we can accommodate and get a fridge, that kind of stuff. So, but prepackaged items, the health department loves that. Because it doesn't have to, it can stay out, it can stay in the fridge.
Right, like jams and things like that.
Yeah. So as long as it's properly sealed and it was made in a professional kitchen, they've really cracked down on a lot of guidelines and bylaws when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. Okay, well that's an interesting thing, and there I just gave you a new idea for the going forward of your store. Now,
you want to cut the sales, right? 'Cause you came up with the idea.
Yeah, my idea.
We'll talk after the show.
There you go. So, I mean, I know you had this love affair with Musselman's Lake and things like that, but it's actually kind of, to me, it seems like Musselman's Lake to me has always been a destination location. I was listening intently the last time that I was at the Fishbone on the Lake, which is on the Musselman's Lake site. And I couldn't believe the fact that I think my table and one other table were the only two tables where the people that were eating there were from the Stouffville area. I live about 10 minutes away. But 90% of the people that were there were from North York or from downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And they had come to spend a night on the lake. It's become a destination location. And I can really see it as a really interesting add-on to the area, your place, in that people can come for the day, have the dinner at night, but come early, go do a little shopping. I mean, it would be even nice to see a few more retail outlets come about at the lake. I know there's a variety store there, but, you know, maybe an ice cream parlor or whatever, just to see what's, you know, to get a few more people in there if it becomes a destination.
Yes,
and I'm sure it will be, because it's such a pretty little spot. And there are not very many spots that are that close to the city where you can actually hang out and be at the lake.
Right. Well, what I've found is it's a nice little secret, because you don't have to go to Muskoka. You have everything there. It's close to the city, you know, 15, 20 minutes and you're the GTA.
Right.
And from when I started renovating, I had residents come by just to kind of, you know, they're knocking on the door. Oh, what's going on? What's happening? And so I'd explain what's happening.
Nice.
Like, oh, this would be great for the area. And because it was been closed for a while after Charlinda's was there, and nothing but positive, you know, remarks. And once the store opened, they're like, oh, we love it. This is great. You're going to do great here. You got great, you know, local vendors, products, and that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about that. I was in the store myself recently and saw that there were representation from a number of different artists.
Yeah. Well, in total, we have about 30 different vendors and suppliers, and this stems from me going to the events and, you know, having to travel an hour, you know, and you pack up the van, you set up your little area that you have to sell stuff, sit there for 8 hours, and then, you know, sales or not sometimes, and then having to tear down and drive all the way back wherever you're coming from. And just with the price of gas and everything, I put it out there to see if there's any other people in my little small group that go to these events. Say, would you guys be interested in you know, in a retail place? And literally a day and a half later, I had about 200 people wanted more information, and they were interested in, you know, going in this venture with me. So, like I said, we have about 30 different suppliers basically that are just small. They're handcrafted artisans.
So is it like a consignment or thing?
So basically they pay a small little fee. I don't take a dime of their money, because starving artists, they want to get their business going, right?
Yes, and exposure usually kills them.
So, yeah.
People die from exposure, don't they?
So like I said, I don't take a penny of their sales. They keep everything. And the way I see it is, if we get everyone talking about the different vendors, one person comes in looking for, tea or coffee. We have some great tea and coffee vendors there. And they see that, oh, they also have mugs. Oh, go hand in hand. Or they also have this, they have this. So if everyone kind of puts in together and promotes the store, everyone is going to benefit from it.
Right.
So it's a great little store with amazing items from local. It's all local artisans or sourced from within Southern Ontario, except for one. A lady, she does live in Ontario, but she travels to Tibet and Nepal, and she purchases items from the local women that make these items, brings it back, and a portion of the sales go back to them, help them with education and that kind of stuff, and as well as a few other vendors. Portions of their sales go back to help kids groups or girls that were bullied, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of helping them out, and they're helping other different groups out. So it's all makes you.
It all helps everybody.
Yes,
it sounds like a grand idea. Well, we're going to take our first little break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Cory. You're listening to Fresh Waves on Whistle FM. I'm your host, Brenda Masson. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi folks, Kim Mitchell here. You know, however you choose to get around, your ATV, your snowmobile, your boat, car, if you have a motorcycle, all these things take 100% of your attention and skill to operate safely. Alcohol impairs that, and bad things can happen. So, be smart, okay? You know what I'm going to say next.
This message brought to you from the Safe and Sober Awareness Committee.
Hey everyone, this is Lil J. Join me every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the Block Party, a 2-hour journey of the best in the Canadian underground dance music scene, featuring tracks and DJ mixes from Canada's emerging artists, from the disco hits of the 70s to the latest dance floor fillers. No lineups or cover charges, it's your weekly free access to the beats that are packing dance floors in Canada and around the world. The Block Party, Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on 102.9 Whistle FM and online at whistleradio.ca.
And we're back on Fresh Waves. We have Cory Smith in the studio right now from Urban Rustic Decor. And you've got a new store up in Musselman's Lake. Mm-hmm. And Musselman's Lake has, over the years, been notorious for having a tough time. It's 5 minutes away from Stouffville, but often people don't take the time to drive up. I think with Fishbone on the Lake, that kind of thing has changed, but it's quite its own community up there. Are you finding that you like that atmosphere? You said that people dropped in and said hello when you first opened. Some people like that, and some people find that a little too much of the busybody, nosy-posy kind of thing.
No, you know what? It's good because coming from the culinary industry and working in restaurants, I talk to people constantly every day, all day. So I can walk up to a stranger and strike up a conversation. I have no problems with that at all. And I've met, at least on my side of the lake, everyone that lives. I know everyone, their story. You know, they'll have a gentleman right next door. I won't say his name, but he used to work in the bowling alley, and he told me stories about the lake, how it used to be, and how great it was, and how it kind of went down, but now it's coming back up, and I like it. You know, I would drive through when I ever come to Stouffville. I'd take this route because it was a nice drive coming from Newmarket, and it's just it's a little gem in the middle of I like it. I love the area. It's if I could afford it, I'd move to the lake tomorrow. Yeah,
it's one of those really special places, I think. Yeah. And I like, personally, I like that community feeling. Yeah. I know a lot of people who don't. I have a friend who really likes the anonymity of a city, of a big city, because she often says that in so much as there's so many people around, you can feel very alone. Whereas a small town, everybody's in your business. But you know what? I think there's a good place for people being a little bit in people's business. Just knowing your neighbor is a nice thing, I think, nowadays.
When I was growing up, short little story, I'd helped my uncle on the farm, and we had to pull over because a couple bales of hay were loose. And must have been 5 minutes. And 3 or 4 cars must have pulled over. Bob, you okay? Oh, yeah, but in the big city, you get, and they just keep going. Right. So, sure, everyone's business in a small little community, but you're going to have those people pulling over. Hey, is everything okay? You good? Need a hand? And I like that. I like the small town, atmosphere. Everyone, you need a barn raising, the whole community shows up kind of thing. We watched the fireworks at the community center, and it was great. It was, everyone was there.
Did you even have to go to the community center? Could you not have seen them from the store entrance?
Well, yeah, exactly. But no, we went. It was a great show, and we were right in the parking lot there, and and the whole community showed up. It was a great time.
Yeah, it usually is.
Yeah.
Stouffville's like that. I think that's one of the things I like about Stouffville. I've never been so surprised as every year at Strawberry Festival or Canada Day when they do a fireworks display and you think, where did all these people come from? You drive these streets and the streets are empty. There's nobody around. And then all of a sudden you have an event like this and wow, people actually live here. It's really great.
Yeah. It has changed. Like I used to live here about 20 years ago in the old Stouffville where it was, just the main street pretty much. Mm-hmm. And, I moved away, but when I first started coming back, I couldn't imagine, I couldn't believe how much expanded since I left. Mm-hmm. And, but it's still, you still have that small town feel, I think. And, it's a great place and I like coming here. So, and that's why I chose Musselman's Lake, because it was nice close to the city and a little bit more quiet. I come in the morning, I hear the birds and the loons on the lake, and who needs those CDs when you have the real thing, right?
Right, just open the windows.
That's right.
There you go. Now, you come from a culinary background. Let's talk about that for a minute. It seems like that world has really blossomed. I think it's a lot of people. It used to be when I was a kid, going out for dinner or getting something catered was a once in a lifetime. Weddings, funerals, 50th wedding anniversaries, those kinds of things. Otherwise, you just didn't do that.
Yeah.
But now people are eating out more often. People are having something catered instead of spending the 2 days previous to an event cooking and going crazy. They get it catered. Because people are working and people are really busy.
It. No one's got the time anymore.
So how do you see that industry morphing, or how do you see that your past experience moving into your new life, so to speak?
Well, I think when I first kind of got into it, it was, I was young, and kind of a funny reason was it was kind of an easy job and you get free food. So that's why I kind of got into it. But now, as I moved up the ranks and got higher positions, eventually got into management and then kind of went off on my own, learning the trends and what's happening in the food industry. Like it seems like it's the new rock star thing where, you see all these celebrity chefs on TV. It's like, but I never kind of went that route. I was kind of quiet and I met some great people and, I did some catering for TV shows in Toronto. The only one person that I ever kind of got starstruck was, Henry Winkler, the Fonz. Super nice guy. And, he was the only guy, he was the only guy I was kind of starstruck because growing up as a kid.
Oh yeah,
he was
Happy
the man.
Days was
he was
the
man,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
So, but
how many little boys walk to school going, "Yo,
hey.
hey,"
with the thumb? Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's what? It's a great industry, and but going into what I'm doing now. There's a lot of people that are, getting into the culinary industry and doing the same thing I was doing. So it's, when getting into, catering for film and television, it's hard to get in to do those, like, into the union stuff.
Right.
But once you're in, unless you majorly mess up. And then, I was with the TV show for over 2 years and, they were saying this is the best catering we've had since we started the show. And it's just, just trying to keep it fresh and different. And so I would do, like a regular meat and potatoes thing. And sometimes they want just sandwiches and salads, that kind of stuff. But then I'd do like an international dish. Like people always ask me, what's your specialty? And because they did catering for film and television, you have to know everything.
Yeah.
Because if you're just a one-trick pony, you're there for one day and you're done.
Yeah.
So,
and you're with these people sometimes for months on end. If they're working on a film or if they're doing a TV series, you're there for the long haul. You're not there just for a one-day wedding.
Can I name drop the shows I was doing?
Sure.
So I was with, I did Brian Baumler's show, Mike Holmes' show, and a few other ones that are, less people might not know who they were, but I did those shows for one of them for over a year, one for over 2 years. And, yeah, it was great. We met some great people, having people on the show with them, you know, and I got to feed them.
And people always like the person who feeds them.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing a good job, people love the person who feeds them.
We had Randy Bachman he had something to do with Mike Holmes' show, and when we were serving lunch, everyone was just sitting there listening to all his stories about, you know, his life in the music industry, and super, super nice guy. And, you know, he thanked me for lunch. He goes, great lunch. Everything is amazing. Thank you so much. And it's just, for me, working in the restaurant industry, or the way I was trained coming up, you know what? You see these TV shows on the Food Network, and they're all yelling and screaming. To me, that gets you nowhere. You know, as long as you say thank you to one of your employees for doing a great job, that goes a lot farther than, you know, than whatever you see on TV. I'm sure it's all for ratings, but it's, you know what? He thanked me and I felt good. And he just said thank you. Like, he took a time out. He was a busy guy. He was only there for like an hour, but he took a few minutes to say, you know what? Great lunch. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And, yeah, so that's.
And makes you feel like $1 million.
Exactly. And that's why I do it. When I see people smiling and clean plates, that was, you know, thanks.
Well, as a mother of 4, when I have a meal on the table that's taken me a long time to put together, and I've done everything I can to make it a great meal, and it's quiet.
Yeah.
All
I hear the knives and forks clattering on the plate.
No talking going on for a few minutes because everybody's eating and they're really, really liking it. Yes.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Well, we have to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Cory Smith. I'm your host, Brent Masson. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.